All right. So I'm experiencing precisely what this week's chapter is about in real time as I replace my laptop, finding old passwords are gone, and I'm able to start anew in many ways. But change is often met with the perception of challenge and frustration and or overwhelm, etc. And most people just don't do the work at that point. They just say, I'm defaulting to the old. And let's see, we have Susan in the house, Dawn, Larry, Karen, Joni, and everyone listening in replay. Super excited you're here. I heard from many of you that the chapter that we just read, not together, but hopefully you listened in to that. It is, you can acquire the habit of happiness. What chapter is it in the book? 7. It's our chapter 10, if you can believe it. And I've heard from many of you that this was one of the most powerful chapters so far. And I would agree. It ties together the whole point of it all, which is feeling good, right? We want something because we think it'll make us feel better. That is why we go towards pleasure and away from pain. And that's how we build goals in the 3D. So understanding the alchemical cybernetics through the lens of psycho-cybernetics, I think is life-changing. And if we can put this to practical use in our day-to-day, it's going to open a gateway into profound peace, tranquility, inspiration. And I'm excited to read the chapter that I wrote. I did not get to the activation because I just got my laptop yesterday afternoon, and it has been a whirlwind trying to get everything back where it was and accessible. I still can't find the files that they transferred. I have to call them, but I will do that later. Priorities, right? So I'll read through this, and then I want to chat through the vision I have for the activation, and it will be a self-activation. So this week, rather than click and play, it will be one that you go outside afterwards and have your own little ceremony. Now, as you'll see, you may not come up with a specific thing you're making edits to immediately, but that is part of the process of awareness, and we'll get to that. You'll first have to be aware of the disempowering, unpleasant thoughts that you're thinking, which again is why most of the people simply don't want to do the work. They'd rather suppress and ignore and deny and disown and send things to shadow, and then they get confused with, why is this showing up in my world? I don't feel that way. Well, your body does. Your defaults say otherwise, and that is incoherence. That is erratic. So I'm titling this week's chapter, The Happiness Formula. And I will go ahead and read it to you, and then we'll overlay the alchemical components for your process. And you can spend the last part of class actually doing it on your own. So this class may be a little shorter than normal to allow for you to go out and actually do what I'm sharing or suggesting. All right, so here we go, the happiness formula. The root of all disease is due to one word, disconnection. Something in our body isn't working properly due to a lack of communication and with some part of our physiology. When we heal it, it's because our bodies are back online and our cells are successfully carrying out the jobs they've been given. When you are unwell, you don't feel good. That is obvious. But what if the discordant feelings before our illness have something to do with the illness itself? A lot of research points to this being the case. While an apple a day keeps the doctor away, laughter is often the best medicine. But surely it can't be as simple as that. After all, if you could bottle happiness, it would be the most in-demand commodity on the planet. A study conducted by Russian psychologist Kekayev I'm probably slaughtering that. I apologize to you, Kekiev. Found that when we are thinking pleasant thoughts, even our senses function better. Food tastes better, we have improved sight and hearing, and even our sense of touch is amplified. When we are depressed, on the other hand, oftentimes we don't want to experience anything with our senses and retreat into isolation or sleep the day away instead. Feelings are a great indicator of if we are in coherence and expanded or in discord and isolated. Dis-ease implies a lack of ease, which doesn't feel good. When we are connected, we are whole, but when we disconnect, something's missing. And it appears to be a catch-22. We feel bad because we aren't healthy, and that feeling perpetuates further imbalance. When our unhappiness becomes habitual, it becomes chronic. Certainly, not all illness is due to the way we feel alone. However, when we look at the science of resonance, we can quickly see that dense, fear-based emotions cause the mind and heart to beat erratically, which causes a slew of stress hormones to flood the body. We can now measure this coherence and directly tie it to health. You may be thinking, well, now, if all I have to do is, I think I may change that to, we can now measure this incoherence and directly tie it to lack of health. Sorry, guys, thanks. You may be thinking, well, now, if all I have to do is think happy thoughts like Tinkerbell to soar in life vibrantly, I'm all in. That is, until our personalities take over. The truth is, we are addicted to our habitual thoughts and the emotional responses which release the hormones that make us feel like us. Even our relationships and the roles we play with each other become habitual. In general, our bodies like this. We come wired with the fear of the unknown. It is when our own miserable existence is subconsciously preferred over expanding into new territory that we need to do some serious remapping. Toxic relationships are great examples of this. Despite the stress you incur through remaining in the relationship, the addiction to the norm will even have you seeking it again if you are brave enough to leave the relationship. Then there is the issue of deference, waiting for something external to you to finally become happy. It is common for people to place their happiness on a future event that will then cause them to be happy. Until then, they must somehow wait. The common misconception about happiness is that it comes from somewhere outside of yourself. Think of any goal that you may have and ask yourself why you want it, and you'll inevitably come to the conclusion that you'll somehow feel better when you reach the goal than you do now. And that's a powerful motivator, but one that need not wait until you arrive at your destination to achieve. In fact, you must first feel in resonance and connectivity through emotion with the feeling fulfilled before it will arrive in your reality. If you're resonating the same old story of lack, limitation, disease, and incoherence, your emotions will continue to magnetize the circumstances to fulfill that reality. Quote, "We are never living, but only hoping to live, and looking forward always to being happy. It is inevitable that we never are so. It is inevitable that we never are so." Of course, it is not realistic to live in a perpetual state of happiness while ignoring the complexities of life. That is called spiritual bypassing and can cause inner conflict with suppressed feelings that your body has no choice but to express as disease. The incoherence and mismatch of pattern creates disconnection and lack of harmony. We must authentically allow the depths of our emotions to happiness, just like we must allow the depths of our emotions. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was trying to say there. I'll have to edit it later. We must authentically allow the depths of our emotions, period. Just like any other emotion, happiness is a habit. There we go. Hold on just one second. Just 1 second. Okay. We associate certain things with pleasure, and we seek them while we encode certain things as unpleasant and avoid them. Habits, after all, are merely default patterns we run on autopilot, never questioning the response merely because of the way we feel, that confirms and justifies the initial feeling that led you to the habit in the first place. Quote, "In much of the same way, our attitudes, emotions, and beliefs tend to become habitual. In the past, we learned that certain attitudes, ways of feeling, and thinking were appropriate to certain situations. Now we tend to think, feel, and act the same way whenever we encounter what we interpret as the same sort of situation. If misery and happiness are both habits, we can take a systematic approach to becoming more happy. The formula for happiness begins with consciousness. When you are aware of the responses you have to external circumstances, you begin to have choices in the way you respond beyond default. Just the other day, I had an experience where I should have been quite upset, but I wasn't. I found myself almost convincing myself to become upset because that is what most people would do in my circumstance. It was such a revelation to allow the fact that I wasn't upset to be okay. Just because you've responded in a certain way before doesn't mean you must again. Facts are facts, but opinions are mutable. Just because something is the way it is doesn't require us to have an absolute opinion about it that never changes. When you let external events dictate how you feel, you are at the whim of the world. Self-mastery means choosing different responses and breaking old habits that keep you stuck, small, and unhappy. Sometimes breaking the habit of discontent may seem selfish. Have you ever felt bad about being happy when someone else around you is having a bad day? It's a common misconception that in order to help someone feel better, you must match the vibration to show that we are compassionate about their feelings. There is nothing selfish about being happy, and we should not fall for the trap that happiness is a moral issue. Quote, "Happiness is not the reward of virtue, but virtue itself." Spinoza. One of my favorite mentors, Esther Hicks, has often talked about the emotional scale and how like attracts like. I'm just fixing this. There we go. She explains that we can't possibly help the poor by being poor ourselves or cheer someone up by matching their sadness. Rather, we must strive ourselves to reach a place of contentment or higher and reach for the highest vibration we can feel in any given moment. If someone is to rise out of their incoherence, it won't be due to our added erratic vibration. Being a beacon of light from which others can attune themselves to is infinitely more helpful than joining them in their pity party. Misery loves company, not to rise above, but to pull down and dwell. And dwell we do. Habits are like clothing. We wear them until we choose to no more. The beauty of the present moment is that we can fire and wire new expanded realities that aren't based on stress response. When we relax and trust that the universe is delivering precisely what we are matching to, we liberate energy through our coherent efficiency. That's right. We are more efficient when happy. Why? Because being angry, upset, fearful, worried consumes energy, while feeling uplifted, happy, excited, and optimistic energizes you. When you are in stress response, your energy is contracted to save energy. Your body is prepared to run, hide, or fight. In this state of contraction, your energy is being consumed rather than cultivated. The importance of having a vision that you are motivated to achieve is one reason why goal-striving people tend to lead happier lives. When we can view our obstacles as optimization data and fodder to move forward, we've successfully tapped into the happiness formula and have begun to put it to good use. External conditions don't sway us, and we begin to practice a new default of joy, ease, and peace. With our liberated energy free from the shackles of fear, doubt, worry, and anxiety, we begin to cultivate prana directly from the ether. And as alchemists, we can put that energy to good use, aligning with the vibration that will further place us in resonance with our vision. The happiness formula requires development, which is why there can be considered a blueprint for success. After deciding you'll spend more and more time being happy, you must face the times you aren't. This is where most people don't bother creating new habits because the old responses are so ingrained that they can't feel into anything else. We've practiced reacting certain ways for so long that we don't even realize we are. We may even argue for our own limitations due to the convincing evidence and justification for the ways we feel. At some point, we must decide to divert our minds away from destructive thoughts and towards those that are pleasant. Because we live in the 3D and measure things, length, width, height, we use timelines to differentiate space as well. Our past thoughts weave into the now and produce our future thoughts. We can retroactively choose to dwell upon tragic or uncomfortable memories, or we can begin to recall the times in our lives that we were happy. Mental gymnastics is a popular way to describe what you are doing when you build new patterns that run on default. Because our minds will fire and wire these new patterns, it will take practice to build new defaults. Just as we go to the gym to get stronger, we don't do so by merely showing up once. Likewise, if we expect to see rapid results in our mood by taking just one 20-minute meditation to do so while maintaining the standard pessimistic attitude we are striving to overcome, what muscles are we actually flexing? Setting up a schedule to retrain your brain into coherence is a wise idea. If you can focus in on past lovely moments, your now will become more lovely. When you focus on the awe in the now, you can free up energy to vision the future. When you vision the best future, you are actively magnetizing it to you. Do this every day for 30 minutes and watch how your average thoughts transition into a more tranquil and happier place. And that is the goal after all. Dr. John A. Schindler defines happiness as, quote, a state of mind in which our thinking is pleasant a good share of the time. Quantum application. Our progress and peace can be greatly sped up when we implement practical magic. That is, we use the power of the elements to let go of the old and embody new, more coherent patterns of being. Because consciousness plays such a vital role in our efforts, take the time to begin to hear, really hear your inner dialogue. What are you saying to yourself within the confines of your mind? Are you affirming your flaws and setbacks, your patterns that you want to change, or are you rewriting them? Your opinions are just that, your opinions. Changing them will transform your self-image by overriding outdated patterns that keep you stuck and disconnected. The next time you find yourself belittling yourself or affirming something that doesn't serve your growth or happiness, stop, take a deep breath, and affirm the opposite. For example, if you're always late, rather than saying, see, I'm late again, I hate being late, take a breath and state something like, that's not like me, I'm usually very punctual. While this may appear like you are faking it until you make it, over time your subconscious will take the new orders as fact. You will see your habits transforming before your eyes. When you are notified again and again of a belief that appears to be real, that you want to change, write it down on a piece of paper. Okay, so this is the exercise. That's as far as I got to, but this is the exercise that I'd like you to do. And I'm just going to check in and see how y'all are doing. All right, Danette's here too. And make sure that you can still hear me. Wow, we cruised through that. Can you still hear me? Yay! Awesome, guys. So this is what I was thinking. And if you guys as alchemists have any input, I'd love to hear it. Because there's two trains of thought with the whole burning your limiting belief. One side of the coin is that, it disintegrates and, is no more. The other side is that fire is energizing and you're actually activating it. So it greatly depends on the eye of the beholder. But what I was feeling into was just the total alchemical component of putting pen to paper or pencil, doesn't have to be pen, and writing out the attribute, the circumstance, the whatever it is that's a reality, your opinion of it, right? So it could be anything. Anything you want to change, essentially, anything you're discontent with, anything that makes you unhappy, right? And you write it out on a piece of paper, and you burn it. And as you burn it, you intend that the energy is being freed up and liberated. You're letting it go. It's coming back into, oneness. And do this outside. Certainly don't do this in your house and cause a fire. That would be some transformation. Don't do that. So come outside, and if it's dry out there, make sure you have some sort of a bucket or container that will allow the flame to go out, right? Now, I find it fun to, right before the last piece of it burns, to use your breath. What is breath? That is mind. That is intention. That is flow. And so you're affirming with the element of mind that you are transforming this circumstance. So you blow, right? Blow. And so that finality of intention combined with the flame that transmutes and transitions, and the breath blowing out, solidifying in the mind that is now let go, will free you up to rewire. And then placing your hand on your heart, which is a physical thing. You're most likely outside, grounded, right? Your feet are on the earth. You're here in this dimension. You're present in the now. You can affirm the replacement opinion, the replacement desire, affirming this new self-image that is more aligned with your happiness. And it's a personal thing, however you want to phrase it. Do it as if it is so, not I hope that, or one day, right? That's the deferred approach of when this happens, I will, And the whole point is to feel into the vibration now, the newness. So, you may not have a specific circumstance you want to override and transmute into contentment and higher right at this moment. Think about when the rubber meets the road throughout the day. If you meet up against something that bothers you, that triggers you, that doesn't sit well with you, that you aren't wanting to keep repeating but is in your face, right? It's like, wow. So take a breath, write that down. It's true and it's true, but do you want it to be? You don't have to live in that vibration, and you don't have to have an opinion about that in that way, right? It can be a fact, but what? How are you going to actually move beyond it? That's your opinion. This is where if you have a goal and you vision obstacles as optimization data, you free yourself. So we're about letting go of the is, even if it's real and true. Like you could, be in a poor financial circumstance, right? You could write out, I have $100 in my bank account. Like that's a reality. That is a reality. You're going to let that vibrational resonance go, and you're going to affirm that large sums of money come to you in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis that you can share, spend, save for highest good of all, right? So something like that. And I didn't just pull that out of my butt. That was compliments of Bob Proctor and Brian Scott, who expanded upon it. And so, and again, it's practice. It's practice. And it can just be habits, like if you find yourself, for example, the example we just talked about in the book, I'm always late and I hate being late. Okay, let that go. Let that pattern go. And as if it is so, I leave 10 minutes early and I'm always on time. That's who I am. I'm a punctual person. And then that's what you want to energize. So after you write down the limiter, the fact, if it is, or the opinion that doesn't serve you, you light it, you see it burn, you blow it out, the breath of intention, conscious awareness, movement, mental wiring of new realities. You then set about, oh, my cat just fell down. Are you okay, baby? I love cats. I never used to understand why people would watch like cat memes and cat videos. It's just like, really? But now I do, because my mister is just the cutest. Now he's licking my feet. He's also like a dog. He's just so different. I love him so much. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so then that's the fire and wind aspect. So now we need to deal with earth, water, and ether. And so this is where I would suggest then writing down earth, a goal from your heart space, as if it is so, and standing there with this goal written out. So when you go out to your ceremony, you're going to have two pieces of paper with you. One, the transformative letting go of the limiter, and the reality of the future you want to magnetize that will make you happy. Even if it's just, I want to be more happy, right? You don't say, I want to be more happy. You say, I am filled with happiness, and magnetizing pleasant circumstances through dwelling on past happy moments, the present happiness and awe of my life, and knowing that the future will bring more, or something. This is all just ad lib. It's like whatever you want to say from your heart. You write it down then, and I think pulling a code is so cool, because if you pull a code, okay, this is the ether. This is the connectivity to all beyond yourself. There's a vibration that's already in coherence with the reality you seek, and you're writing that down, whatever it is, even if you don't understand it, but it's helpful if you do look it up. What is this thing I've asked for that aligns me with the information I need to embody this affirmation/goal? And you find one, you write down the number, you tape the number and the affirmation to water, okay? And you let it sit for 6 hours before the ceremony. Or you go ahead and wand it for 60 seconds. I love that hack. So there you go. You've wanded it now, you've waited, and now you're ready. So you can go do, after you charge the water with your new affirmation, that's when you can complete the ceremony, or actually do the whole thing. So I guess step one, as I talk through this, would be finding a match to the affirmation. Step one would be writing out the limiter, writing out the aspect of reality that could be true, or an opinion of it that is keeping you sad or discontent in whatever way you want to transform some pattern. You write that down. Then you write the opposite and/or goal. How do you want to behave? What do you want to experience? As if it is so. And again, find a code. Tape that to water, wand it, or wait. When you're ready, then you can begin the ceremony. You come outside. You take the piece of paper that you want to let go, the aspect, and override, and you set it on fire. It almost blows out, or almost completely consumes the paper, and you give it one last blow, activating the mental plane. Into your heart space, you take the water then, right, that you infused, and you affirm the affirmation as if it is so, and you pour the water on the ashes, and you drink it. So I think it's clear. Do you have questions about this process? No worries if you were late. Kathy, what section are you in? We aren't in a section. Well, I guess Monday was Psycho-Cybernetics chapter 7, but I didn't get a chance to read it because my laptop wasn't ready. So I sent out a here's where to listen to it and the minute marker. Now today I read my chapter 10, which is called The Happiness Formula, and I will be providing it to you all. Of course, it is copyright, and please don't share it because it's not published. And we read through that, so come back and listen to that if you can or have desire to. And then, so now what we're working through is the quantum application, the process for becoming more happy. That means looking at changing the way you speak to yourself, What limiters are you using to affirm the patterns that make you unhappy? And it can be fact. It is what it is, and it is. But how are you going to transform out of it? Not by dwelling in there anymore, not by wearing that garment, that habit, having that habit anymore. And so when there is something again and again that appears to be real that you want to change, write down the reality on a piece of paper, and then find a code and see what comes, and then do research on that embodiment. Tape the affirmation written out to water with the code. Wand the water. Then you're ready to begin. Or if you don't have a wand, if you don't have a wand, why not? That's the first thing I want to know is like, what's going on? Why don't you have one yet? And order it through the person who first introduced you, not me. And if it was me, order it through me. Buy thefrequencywand.com. Anyway, or ask me and I'll send you the link. But you can wait. You can wait 6 hours if you want to. And then take it out. Involve all the elements. We are fire by lighting it, transmuting, transforming, right? Bringing back into unity, letting go of that, freeing up that space. We are blowing with our intention as well, but with our breath, blowing that flame out at the end, consecrating our goal, solidifying our intention. And then we are taking that beautiful assisting frequency out, the water that we've infused, and we drink a sip and we pour the water on the thing we're letting go. We're replacing, we're overriding the biowater, the subconscious layers of our body, of our anatomy, into this new pattern of truth. It's true and it's true, and we want it to be. And then that's it. Earth, air. The earth is the fact that we're putting it in the earth, that we're standing on the earth, that we have physical water. The water is obviously the water, and the ether is the intention, the connectivity with Akasha and the code. So how does that sit with everyone? Yay, Danette just ordered yours. You just ordered yours. Amazing. Did you order it through me? Let me know if you did. Otherwise, I'll just log in. And if you didn't order it through me, no worries. That's good. I want you to go to whomever you heard about it through. Kathy, I will likely not do the burning. That's fine. Tell me more, Kathy. Why not? And Joni says, this sounds exciting. Oh, okay, cool, Danette. Awesome. I'm glad you were able to order it. Keep in mind, if you ordered it through someone that ordered it through me, then you can also be in the Bliss Biz training on Kajabi that I have set up for anyone who purchased through me and their downline. All right, so yeah, Kathy, I'd love to know why. Oh, because of where you live. Okay, no worries. So then here's what I would have you do instead, Kathy, and others, if you don't want to do the actual burning. While focused on the limiter in your brain, right? Don't write it down because it's not going to be transformed, but it's in your brain. So think on it, and as you think on it, light a candle. So as you light the candle and you see the flame, imagine placing your thought cloud inside the flame. So just let it burn inside there, the thought, okay? And then you can use a drop of your blessed water to expunge, is that a word? To put out the flame, okay? And drink a sip. So there's an alternative if you don't have access to outdoors and burning things. Yay, I'm so glad you're going to do it. Also, are you committed to your mental gymnastics? That's the other thing you should ask yourself. I always say if you don't have business hours, you don't have a bliss biz. It's the same with if you don't have hours to work through your goals, starting with the way you see things and your level of happiness in the now, you're going to be deferring that to a place in time through something else, which is the exact opposite resonance of having. So we don't want to do that. So when are you working on this? If you do this for 30 minutes a day, meaning not the ceremony, but you think fondly of the past, right? And be honest with yourself. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you think of? Are you thinking of your troubles? Are you thinking of the stress you have in your life? Are you thinking of things you have to do begrudgingly? What is your first thought? It should be of peace, of appreciation, of joy, of excitement for the day, of reverence for life, and train your brain into the first thought you think being aligned with where you want to go versus discordant to it, even if the proof is showing up. That's the vibration of the now moment, if we're being honest, is your thought. Everything physical about the now moment is the past, because nothing spontaneously, pops into being. Even if it takes a millisecond to gestate, there was a thought pattern before it, right? So there was a thought involved first, and so getting to that point of thought before you hatch your eggs, realizing that's what you're incubating, and choosing anew and forming new opinions about facts as optimization data, even if they are challenging, and doing the work during office hours, doing this. It cracks me up when people are like, oh yeah, I do the work, it doesn't work. Oh really? How many times do you do it? I don't know, once a week. What do you do? Oh, I spend 5 minutes. Like, what? That's like 0.01% of your day. And if we're based on 95% default, the thoughts we thought yesterday are the thoughts we think today, and we wonder why our lives aren't changing. I mean, come on. We got to get real. So it's worth the time and energy, especially as we were saying in the chapter, if you are goal-oriented. Those that have goals, it's fodder for your transformation. Like, it's so important. And if you don't have a goal, make your goal feeling happier, and that's your goal. And as I said that, I'm out on my lanai, and I just saw a beautiful, sitting right there, beautiful golden butterfly, happier. And I know that transformation and the yellow of that is happiness. Perfectly. And that's the other thing with this work. More and more I catch myself saying things that are axioms, or, like things that people always say, adages, the past things that people say, if they're not correct for me, I stop and I change that. I'm like, no, it's not unbelievable. I caught myself the other day saying, and I can't believe what's happened in my life in the last year. It's been so amazing. And I stopped myself and I said, I can believe. In fact, it's because I believed. That is such a wrong thing. I can't believe it. Well, no, you can believe it, because that's why it's here. You're only going to experience what you're ready for. So I can believe it, and perfectly in alignment with all of this transformation. When I go to St. Thomas and I'm on the catamaran, there's golden butterflies all around the boat. It's like such a gift. And now I expect them, and there they are. And actually, last time when we were underway towards Virgin Gorda, the British Virgin Islands, there were 3, and I, things show up in numbers to teach you, as we always talk about. The 3 is the Trinity, is also the 3D. It's like manifested reality. Father, Mother, us, the birthing process, the strong strength of reality, the triangle, right? The base point from which all dimensions from there go up and amplify. What the heck was I just going to say? I started thinking about sacred geometry. Darn it. Oh, it was really important, but now I can't think of it. The triad. It was bees, these black, massive bumblebees. They had a little bit of yellow on them, but mainly they were black, and they were huge. I mean, almost like birds. They were that big, and they were drafting. They were using our boat to cross from the one island we were at to the next, because they didn't have to work hard when they were in that vortex of flow. And it's like, monarch butterflies there, and it's so like fitting, right? That we do that. We why make things harder? But the bee and how intelligent they are, and how they work together and all of that. Not coincidence. It was perfectly aligned with where I was vibing that day and what I was doing and how we were going. And so, the universe starts weaving its bliss into yours, and it takes getting outside of yourself. So I hope today was helpful. Dawn, I spend an hour and a half in the morning when I get up to do yoga and meditation, then at night before I go to bed. Beautiful. Awesome. All right, guys, so you have 15 minutes to do this if you want to. Tell us in the Rainbow Tribe group what it is you pulled. We don't need to know your business if it's something you're working through privately. That's not the point of the exercise. The point is, what is the code and what's it doing for you that is going to be great? And did you do the ceremony? I'm going to do it. And also then, guys, after you pour the water on the ashes or on the flame to put it out, can you take the rest of the water, if you don't drink it all, to some body of water and fractalize that out onto the Gaia grid, right? As we heal ourselves, we heal the world. That was a profound directive that I was given when I was in the void watching the world being created many years ago. I was relaxed and almost asleep, but awake. And my daughter was with my mom and dad, and she was young at that point. She was only maybe 2 or 3. Well, I already had my divine download, so maybe it was 2018 or 19, which means she was 8 or 9. Anyway, she wasn't with me. She was spending the night. She was doing a sleepover with my parents. And I, in the morning, was like, where is she? Sort of thing, like, why isn't she waking me up? For a moment, I forgot that she was sleeping over with them. And so I was in this completely relaxed state of being, and I was like, oh, this is so nice. Should I go back to bed? I never get to sleep in, or should I wake up? What should I do? I'm just enjoying this sort of in-between space. And suddenly, I was taken out of my body completely. I was no longer me in any way. It was like waking up from a dream. I talk about this moment in the Assisting Frequency Masterclass. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And suddenly I'm in empty space. And it was the most expansive feeling I've ever felt. And it was just like all. That's all I can describe is like all. And then I see this hand. And it is literally the hand of God, Yod. And he's tapping empty space. Well, and what was the thought? Where am I, right? Even though it was expansive and all-encompassing, I had the thought, where am I? Because there was no reference point. There was no color depth, right? I mean, it was peaceful as heck and very expansive, but where? In what place was I, right? And the moment I thought that was the second I see the hand of God, and he's tapping the empty space, and I see the world being created in 3 clicks. It was like an iPad or like an app almost. And it was like tap, and I see this ball of fire, and I was like, whoa, what is that? Inner core of Earth. It's like, wow, it's mesmerizing, beautiful. And then tap again, and I see the land formation and the water. And that's when my heart opened up, and I was attuned to the fact that it was Gaia specifically. It was Earth. And I was like, holy shit, excuse my language, I'm watching the world being created. And I was like, just overcome with joy and affection for our planet and everything on it. And then he tapped again, and so the second tap was all of the Earth. It was the land, the air, weather patterns, and the water. And then he tapped one last time, and it was sacred geometry just zooming towards me like a roller coaster. I was like traveling without moving. And it was just like, wow, when is this going to end? It was like it's very hard to explain, but then it finally snapped into place. It was like I could see the interconnectivity of everything and the grid, the Gaia grid. And it was one organism, but it was spatially relatively infinite. So it was like it's very hard to describe. But either way, I'm sitting there going, wow, like in awe of it all. And the very last thing that, so then I knew, okay, now I have to go back to my personality, my identity, my body. But before I knew I was leaving, going back, I heard God say, and it was like a whisper, but it was like booming. It was very strange. And he said, to heal the world, go to the source point. And as soon as he said point, that I was in my body again, opening my eyes, and I was like, oh, but I was angry because I wanted to be back there. And I was like, what's the source point? I said out loud, because that's how you have to ask, align, allow, activate. And I feel for the first time ever and hear in my body a voice, but I could feel the breath. So it wasn't like somewhere inside my head hearing this. It was literally in the room, and it was a divine feminine voice. And she said, look to the cross. And that was it. And I was like, oh yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. But I mean, the cross, and I'm a Christian. So I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Look to the cross. Christ consciousness. That's the key. To heal the world, go to the source point. What's the source point? The cross. But then I later realized it's the top of the torus. And the center of the cross is what? The heart chakra, which is the portal. So, I mean, yes, layers and layers, but the point being is when you heal the world, when you heal yourself, you heal the world. So taking that water out, planting it into the body of the collective Gaia grid, having that transformative energy available to those that are also seeking to overcome and center in beyond that limiting pattern is key. All right, sorry for the tangent. And that's it, guys. We have 10 minutes. You can go out, do it, or do it later. Intend that patterns will arise and you'll be able to do this. And start choosing to activate a happy grid. Last thing I want to say is, you can't get there from here. Like, you won't just snap into happiness if you are down and out. It's a progression, reaching for the highest vibration you can, replacing old patterns, dwelling in the places you want to dwell, recalling pleasant things, visioning beautiful futures as if they were so, and enjoying the now as much as you possibly can. All right, guys. Love you too. and we will convene on Friday. We're going to go through with the Grid for Gaia 4.0 session 3, the actual 11 direction ceremony preparation together, because I want to provide you with the outline so you can begin visualizing all the things that you're going to do during the ceremony. And then, of course, we'll set the ceremony, and I'm also going to be expanding upon the cycle, if you will, of trust and relaxation leading to energetic liberation and cultivation of energy into expressing that energy, using it for greatest good, i.e. the ceremony, blessing that, offering, pulling codes for it. What are you going to offer? And then, returning, merging back into limitlessness source. Okay, guys. P.S. One side note, in case you haven't watched the Assisting Frequency masterclass, I think I mentioned it somewhere, but I tried to look at the face of God. I was trying to look over my shoulder, and I couldn't get there. And I come to realize that it's because we were all there. We were God. We are God. We were there with God. That consciousness was us at that point. We hadn't fractalized out into, Larry and Danette and Dana and Joni and Kathy and Holly, and we were just there in that primordial soup of creation. And so we couldn't look upon ourselves. Have you ever tried to look at yourself? You can't do it. All you can see is a reflection. Yourself is the only thing in the world you can't see. Isn't that interesting? All right, my dears, and the eyes, of course, are the shape of the Vesica Pisces, which is the birthing tube, which is sacred geometry, and that is no coincidence. Through your eyeballs is our interpretation. Okay, may you interpret peace, love, joy, happiness. Much love. We'll chat soon, and let me know how it goes with the codes you pull for the new reality you are creating that aligns you with your happiness. Bye for now.